yesterday, Senator Young, one of our colleagues in the Senate, and I were invited to address the nation's business leaders, business roundtable, and the Jamie Dimon was the immediate past chair, and the current chair of the National Business Roundtable is Mary Barra, who was also the CEO for General Motors. And I've known her for a while. And about a couple of years ago, maybe 1 or 2 years ago, I was talking with her, trying to urge General Motors to join 4 or 5 other auto companies, along with California and maybe 20 or so states on greenhouse gas emissions, like a timeline and reductions in time, and to see if maybe GM wouldn't join half dozen auto companies that already come to agreement with a bunch of states, including California. She said, at the time, she said, they're not ready, GM was not ready to do that, but she did add this. She said, I'm all in on electric vehicles. And she said, I'm all in, that's where we're going. And she said, not only are they fun to drive, but they're a lot cheaper to maintain. And she added to that, she said, there's 3 things that we need at General Motors, and she said other auto companies, American auto companies, 3 things that we need in order to be able to sell the vehicles if we build them. Number 1, 300-mile range. On recharging. Number 2, the ability to recharge batteries in minutes, not hours. She said the third thing that we need is for there to be charging stations throughout the country where people are driving, to the extent we can do that. She said those are the 3 things we need. She said the first 2 are on us, GM, 300-mile range, the ability to recharge batteries in minutes, not hours. And they have met that challenge. My wife and I own an electric vehicle now. Took the place of my 2001 Chrysler Town & Country minivan with 600,000 miles. We have an electric vehicle that has 300-mile range, and we can charge battery in minutes, not hours. So, well, the industry has come a long ways in that regard. And the federal government we put a lot of money in the infrastructure package to help with charging stations for, among other things, school buses, other electric buses, and just general electric vehicles. But we still have some ways to go. We have a lot of hearings in this committee hearing room. I've been on this committee for, 20 years, and this is probably as important and timely a hearing as we've had. And this has been just a superb. I bragged on you a little bit when I introduced you at the beginning of the hearing. This is an excellent hearing. We're grateful to those who come from Arizona and from Utah, sort of, from Kathleen. Tell us again where you live now. Yeah, Denver, and my friend Ray Mavis. Ray was Secretary of the Navy. For years, 100 years, there had never been a ship, submarine, or aircraft carrier named after the state of Delaware. We're the first state. We hadn't had a ship or anything named after Delaware for 100 years. And about 6-7 years ago, I called Secretary Ray Mavis and I said, Mr. Secretary, it's been 100 years or more that since a ship was submarine, aircraft carrier was named after my state. In the meantime, almost every other state and a lot of cities have had ships named after them, vessels named. And I said, do you think we can do something about it? And I'll never forget what he said. He said, let me think about it. And give me a couple of months. I'll call you back. And I'm thinking, sure. And a couple of months later, he called me back. He said, the Navy's going to build, contract to build 4 or 5 fast attack Virginia-class nuclear submarines. And the first one will be the USS Delaware. And 1 week from this coming Saturday, he's going to join us in Delaware with the ship's sponsor, the submarine sponsor, the First Lady, Jill Biden, and I think she may bring a date, I'm not sure. But we'll have a couple thousand people there to welcome the USS Delaware and celebrate one of the fastest, most modern fast attack nuclear submarines in the world. So Secretary Mavis, you're a hero for a lot of Americans, and we're grateful for all your service and for being with us today, and I'll see you in maybe 10 days or so. And with that, I think I have to do some housekeeping here. Before we adjourn, senators will be allowed to submit written questions for the record through close of business on Wednesday, April the 6th. We will compile those questions, send them to our witnesses. We'll ask you to reply to us by Wednesday, April the 20th. That's 2 weeks. And, you know, I'm by nature an optimistic person. And I come out of this hearing more optimistic, not less. And what is it? What were the words of Henry Ford, founder of Ford Motor Company? I'll give Ford some equal time here after talking about GM. I already said that. Boy, that Laura, isn't she tough? The founder of the Ford Motor Company was Henry Ford. And among other things, Henry Ford said these words. He said, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Think about that. If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And on this point, on these issues, I think we can. And I think your testimonies today have brought us closer to the point where we will. So thank you very, very much. And with that, this hearing is adjourned.